Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Uh, Wonderful day, snow's outside, roads are very slick. I got frozen today. I tried some cryotherapy and I was in a tank that was negative 200. Still I'll have all my hands, fingers, and toes, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Anyway, just wanted to give you guys a quick update on the balance check. I've noticed there's a lot of stuff floating around the forums, Reddit, Twitter, and other places where people aren't really getting certain things. And I just wanted to make sure I made a clarifying video about certain things. There have been some concerns or questions related to security or what these keywords actually mean. So I just wanted to be as clear and concise as possible and make sure that everybody understands what's actually going on. So a blockchain, a UTXO-based blockchain, basically has a genesis block, and then there's an emission of funds usually, or some initial distribution of funds, and then you have addresses, and those are in the outputs. And so what happens is, as you transact, every block, it contains a list of transactions, and then if you look at the entire changes from the beginning into the current block, you can construct basically a ledger, a UTXO, and that is the current ownership of everything. So this output, and this output, and this output, all the way down, okay? And there's plenty of YouTube videos on how to do that and what that means, but the long and the short is that's the state of the system. Who owns what where? So Charles owns this collection of UTXO, and that's worth 500 ADA. And Bill owns this collection of UTXO, this amount of outputs, and that's worth 700 ADA. So what a snapshot is it traces the entire chain up to a particular block. And then it says, okay, what is the state of the system? It takes that and copies it and pastes it into basically a new genesis block. So because it's a copy and paste and the addresses are the same, whatever cryptographic credentials you have for the old system will work with the new system. So the way we designed Cardano, we really wanted it to be as user-friendly as possible, is that we said every wallet is an HD wallet, which basically means if you have keywords, you can regenerate your wallet. And what that does is it allows the wallet to search through the entire UTXO and find which entries belong to you. So because that works on the old system, it works on the new system, okay? So basically, what a balance check is doing is when you enter those keywords in, it does some cryptography in the background. It takes a look at the blockchain of the new system. It scans that UTXO, and it says which one of those entries, if any, belong to you. Now, this is done locally on your machine, not on a server, not on a stake pool. We don't do it. No one does it. This is done on your machine, and everybody can do this on their machine once they have the testnet client, because you have your own copy of the blockchain. We will never ask you for a password. We will never ask you for keywords. Anybody who says enter your keywords into this website, they're trying to steal from you, okay? There are some people who are concerned that, oh, well, if I enter my keywords into this new client, what happens if that client gets compromised and then people can steal my real data? Well, if you're really concerned about that, here's what you can do. Since we've already taken the snapshot today, if you had a wallet at the time of the snapshot, that data has been put into the ledger. So before you do the balance check, you can rotate credentials. And how you do that is you create a new Daedalus wallet and you move your funds from the old wallet to the new wallet. Then use your old keywords to go ahead and check. So even if somehow, some way, those keywords were compromised, somehow, some way that private key was compromised, it would have no effect on the actual real ADA that's sitting on your Daedalus wallet, okay? And this is the same for hardware wallet verification. So if you want to keep that cold wallet mentality of a hardware wallet after the snapshot occurs, when we do the next snapshot and we support hardware wallet restoration, what you can do is before you go ahead and restore your testnet ADA on the incentivized testnet, you can move your ADA from one hardware wallet address to another hardware wallet address. And what this is, those old 24 keywords you have on your ledger, for example, are useless on main system. So you haven't compromised your cold wallet at all, okay? So this is the first thing to understand, that you are in charge of this. This is done locally. The level of security you have is completely up to you. We will never ask you for your keywords. Anyone who's asking you for your keywords is trying to steal from you and is a scammer. Okay? So if you get a PM private message from me over Telegram or Instagram or Twitter, first, it's a fake account. And second, if that fake account is asking you for keywords, they're trying to steal from you. You are in charge of this process. Now, there are some advantages to this process, and there's a reason why we did it in 2 stages. One, we recognize that a lot of people think they understand something. They've kind of Dunning-Krugered it, but then the reality is they don't fully understand something, or they thought something is true and they didn't realize that it wasn't true. For example, I've now had many people in a panic email me saying, I thought I had my keywords written down. It turns out that my wife shredded the paper or my dog ate the homework. Okay. So the point of this first snapshot was to wake everybody up and try to get everybody on the same frequency and everybody to realize that they have to do something if they want to participate in the incentivized testnet, and to make sure that people are actually able to use Daedalus and install it and so forth. And we've already gotten a lot of support tickets and a lot of questions, and we're going to get a lot more questions come Friday. And so it's going to be fun. But that was the point of this, was a kind of a wake up balance check. It's optional. You don't have to do anything now. And that's actually true for the other snapshot that we do later this month. You won't have to do anything if you don't want to do anything, but you are losing out on some money. If you, the point of the incentivized testnet is you can actually make revenue. Now, there was some question about moving funds back, and there's a whole bunch of misconceptions that have existed. So one misconception was that we're now doubling the supply of ADA. And so the testnet ADA, all of that will be moved back to the mainnet or something like that. I've seen several Reddit posts and other things floating around Telegram. That's not the case. The total supply of ADA is conserved. So what we've done is we said, all right, we'll take the rewards for however long the incentivized testnet runs and basically move those rewards and rewards only over to the mainnet. And then what we'll do is take from the back end, so from the total supply, the total amount of rewards, and deduct it. So the total supply is conserved. It's just instead of running the first whatever months the incentivized testnet runs on the mainnet, we're now running it on a safe sandbox. Okay, so no new ADA is being created from this process. We're just basically taking some and putting it here and moving it back, and then taking it from the back end. Okay, so no ADA is being moved over. Another thing is there's some people saying, oh, well, the software is very insecure or something like that, or there's going to be a major problem. We are going through security audits, and we'll publish those results hopefully in January. But the software that we're writing is quite good, and it is using formal methods. For example, the Haskell wallet backend, which is shipping this week. It's the first time it's shipped to you guys, the new backend. It makes heavy use of quick check. So property-based testing. And we're very proud of the software that we're bringing to market. And this software is considerably better than the software that is in market. So we're very happy about that. I've seen people say we're going to run the incentivized testnet for a year or something like that. This is, again, insane FUD. No, we're only going to run it, and we're going to collect metrics, and we're going to learn from the operations of this. And we're learning as you're learning. For example, we're building a stake pool dashboard for stake pool operators, and that will be available towards the end of the month. We're learning about what metrics we should keep and what we should put into our explorers. Our block explorer is now just more than finding a transaction and finding a block. Our block explorer also now has to have an opinion about stake pools. So you need to look up stake pools. You need to think about things like historical performance. We need to think about things about how saturated is that pool and so forth. So these metrics, how to present these metrics, visualize these things, all of these things we're kind of learning together and we're building together and so forth. And that's the point of having this done in this sandbox, is that we can move very rapidly and quickly without exposing the mainnet to any problems. Furthermore, it gives us an opportunity to have a real frank discussion with exchanges about how will exchanges work with us and work with you, the consumer. Everything from basically staking your funds for you. Some exchanges want to do this, to things like the adherence to enterprise addresses, which basically mean that stake pool, those addresses are unstakeable, for example. Okay, so we have no intention of running the incentivized testnet for a year, and quite frankly, we'd like to run it as shortly as possible, but it's an organic process. The other thing is the balance check and the snapshot that we do will give us a lot of data on the overall level of decentralization and participation of Cardano. It's unknown if we're going to have 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, et cetera, et cetera. And it gives us some time to think about and intervene in the event that that level of decentralization is not as good as it needs to be. So that's the point of this, is that it's a global metric that you can actually look at yourself. For example, because of the way that we've done addresses, when you move from the Genesis block to basically redeem your ADA on the testnet, we can actually follow those transactions. It's a many-to-one transaction. So we know how many unique movements have occurred. We know the percentage of the UTXO that's rotated, and we know the total amount of ADA that's actually in circulation. So these statistics are public. Anyone can watch the Genesis block. Anyone can write these scripts, and it's a very valuable piece of data because, for example, if only 1% rotates, then we say 99% of the people are not participating in the network. There's a problem there. We need to look into that. Whereas if it's 90%, we say, wow, everybody's woken up. ADA is really exciting. So these are things that we would like to track and understand, and it gives us the ability to modify accordingly the plans for the rollout of Shelley in a very responsible way and in a very public, interactive way. Ultimately, you guys are the product owners, and you have to tell us and show us what the requirements are, and we learn as we watch. So that's another thing to consider. Finally, our velocity continues to increase. If you guys notice, we've gone from RC1 to RC7 for 0.7 Jormungandr in less than 2 weeks. And we've solved over 1,000 issues, I think, since the Incentivized, since the network testnet came out. So we're writing a lot of code. In some cases, we're making multiple commits every hour on every one of our repos. It's pretty crazy to see that velocity. So things are speeding up. They're not slowing down. And a lot of things are going to happen. And we're making every attempt as a company to try to be as proactive as possible in communicating. You guys do have to understand, though, that we not only have to communicate in English, we also have to communicate in Korean, Japanese, and other languages. And we are making best effort to try to do that as much and as frequently as we can. So if you have doubts, if you have questions, if you have concerns, please don't succumb to FUD. And remember that non-official news sources are just that. They're going to give you things that either are not true or are structured in a way to try to impact the price of the token up or down. And frankly, it serves none of us any benefit when we see these things. We do things at IOHK in a very structured way, and we like communication. We release videos often. So please subscribe to our YouTube page, for example. Please follow us on Twitter. Please join the official Telegram channels and get to know who the moderators are. We have built out a lot of information flows in multiple languages now. And go to our blog. These things exist for a reason, and their purpose is to keep you guys as informed as possible. And we try as quickly and as often as we can to make releases. For example, before the end of this week, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that we put in video and other formats specifically about how to do a balance check. This is the official way of doing it. It comes from us. If you see some other video somewhere that says, go to my website and put your keywords in, again, they're trying to steal from you. So don't do that. And if you have any questions at all, Zendesk is available and other platforms are available, and people will get around to answering it. And of course, I do these AMAs. And if you're lucky enough to catch one, ask me. And I do read the Reddits, and I do get reports of things from time to time. So I appreciate your patience, and I also appreciate how quickly you guys have moved as a community to help us get this thing along. Decentralizing a cryptocurrency is a tremendously difficult task, and some have argued it has not been achieved, even with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, for example. So we're learning as you're learning, and we're doing our best to try to keep things as structured and systematic as possible. But to reiterate, you do the balance check locally, not on a server. We don't see your keywords. You're in charge of that. You have a copy of that blockchain. You should be able to verify it yourself. If anybody asks you otherwise, then they're trying to steal from you. Second, when the other snapshot happens and we're actually doing staking If you're concerned about exposing those keywords or creating duplicate credentials on the Incentivized or otherwise, you can always rotate credentials on the main net before you use your keywords on the test net. And we'll do a video showing people how to do exactly that if they're super concerned about it. And then at that point, even if there's some security flaw or problem with the test net, your credentials are okay. You're not going to be in a problem. Third, remember to control your keywords, write them down, put them in a very safe location. If you're a large crypto investor, I do recommend getting a safety deposit box or buying a very nice safe that's very secure and having it actually bolted to the ground or something like that. And over time, it'll become easier to secure these things. For example, in scope of Shelley is multi-sig. And my hope is we also have hardware multi-sig support. So I'd love to be able to do like 2 of 3 and 3 of 5 ledger key pairings because that's just so secure if we can get there. And we're really pushing hard for these types of things. And finally, there are official information sources. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, join our official Telegram channels, and get to know your moderators. And watch my Twitter feed, watch the IOHK Twitter feed. And these things are official. We will never ask you for money. We will never ask you for your passwords or keywords, and we're never going to ask you to send crypto to us or something like that. Anytime you see that, it's a scam, it's an impersonation. Please don't pay attention to it. So a lot of stuff is coming this week. Please do let us know if you're having challenges. The balance check is really an amazing thing. By the way, if you're very astute, it's the first time we've ever shipped the new wallet backend. So you're going to have some fun with that. You get to play around with the new Daedalus interface. And then towards the end of this month, you get to see the whole thing pulled together. And we're really proud of this product. It's a pretty amazing product. And we're going to have an internal summit in early December where we're going to kind of define out the entire roadmap for 2020 and all the stuff that's left to do. And my hope is that we're going to ship a ton of stuff next year. And Cardano's really going to come together. Over 50 research papers, probably over 1 million lines of code at this point. We're still passionate and still fired up. So thank you guys so much for your time. And until next time, cheers.